Let me know once my screen is visible.
Yeah, we can see your screen. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as we already know, today's our topic is like life cycle hooks. Like we do have life cycle hooks in LWC as well as Aura. In Aura, we do have something different with the init, pre-render, rendered, after render, and unrender as the components. But in LWC, we do have something called as these are all the things which we see in the LWC components. What is a life cycle hook? Basically, a life cycle hook is a callback method which got triggered at specific phases of a component life instance life cycle. What is a phase? Basically, during the initial, assume like there is a company ABC, they wanted to have a list of lead records in a table. Whenever they wanted to initiate some information, what are all the different phases involved to get the records into the DOM? These are all called as different phases are involved in the life cycle. They were like mounting phase, unmounting phase, and the error phase. As a broader note, like when coming with the mounting phase, we get like constructor, connected callback, rendered, and re-rendered, rendered callback as the phases which were involved, phases or hooks which were involved as part of the mounting phase. When coming with the unmounting phase, we'll get a hook which is called as a disconnected callback. And with respect to the error phase, we have something called as error callback, which has two parameters, error and the stat. To understand basically with the flow how it works, we'll assume two components. One is parent component and another one is the child component. Basically, whenever a lightning component is called, firstly, the constructor is called as a parent. Once the construction of the parent is called, it calls with the reactive properties which are available on the public properties. Once they do have some update or some event which needs to be updated on the public event, that would happen over here. And then the parent would be inserted into the DOM. Once the DOM is inserted, the connected callback would be called on the parent. Like as we see, once the constructor is called and connected callback is called from the parent, and then the parent is rendered. This is render callback of lifecycle. And then once the render is called, we'll go with the constructor which is from child. From child, again the public properties will be called, and then child is initiated into the DOM, and then connected callback is called, and child is rendered. Once both child and parent are rendered, the rendered callback is called on child. Once the child is rendered callback child is called, then it goes to the parent, and then it shows up. Like this is the diagram, whichever the flow is triggered from top to bottom, whenever from the constructor to the rendered callback. When if any errors are being occurred in between of these things, it would be showed in the error callback. Assume like there is a concept called disconnected callback. In the disconnected callback, whenever if any changes are being done on the parent, like if something is added or removed from the parent, then the disconnected callback on the parent is called, and then child is removed from whenever child is removed, disconnected callback from the child is also called. Basically, this is called from the parent to child approach would be happen. Let's go with the first life cycle hook. What is a constructor? Whenever any instance, whenever a component is created, the instance would be created. Like this is similar to the Aura init method, which we have. What it happens is like it invokes the instance whenever component is created. Like the instance of this thing is similar with the Aura init component. Here we shouldn't whenever this is a mandatory, we need to invoke super method in the constructor. What this super method does is like to initiate the available properties and all, like to make sure it's the constructor which is being called. It says like super needs to be mandatory without the parameters. Like super method wouldn't accept any parameters. And then like if there is any return statement within the constructor, if it is a simple return statement can be called, but the complex things over the constructor return statement wouldn't be advisable to be called because like whenever the constructor is called, no other components would be ready. This component hooks would be flowed from the parent to child. Let's have a demo on this item. Yeah, this is in VS Studio, like where you can develop the Lightning components. For this, like I have created one demo arc, which for the demoing purpose, I'm creating one new web component. Like this is the command used to create the Lightning web component. Uh, Selecting the LWC file directory, and then like now the component is ready. Yeah. For this one, like there would be three files which should be created. Like one is HTML, one is JS, and one is meta file. Meta file is used to expose the component where we wanted to expose the component associated with. JS file is the logic where we would be retaining the custom LWC logic associated to the JS. And then HTML is a view file of the component. Now let's go with some lightning card.
Gautami, are you there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
1 second, I'm just here.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just taking the title as lightning web component.
And sorry for interrupt you. So just you can increase your Visual Studio font size. So just Control key in window and like plus Control plus. So, yeah, right. Not more than just a little bit. You can increase. Okay. Yes. So anyone can see this type of fonts, right? Because it's not visible here previously. Now you can see, right? So thank you. Now you can go ahead, please.
Is Yeah, as we discussed, like we need to, I'm just keeping one card to make sure like it shows in the page. I'm keeping the title as lightning web component, and in the JS, I will be writing a method in the lifecycle called a constructor. Here, like as we discussed, like super is a keyword, super is a method which needs to be mandatory. And now I'll just keep a console log to make sure like it is printed in the log. Now I'm deploying this component. Oh, sorry. Before this thing, like we need to have the meta file with the targets which needs to be inserted. So like Here, whenever we wanted to expose the component over the screen, we need to keep this as true. And then we need to write the targets where we wanted to keep the component across. If I wanted to keep for the app page, I'll keep app page. If I wanted to select for a home page, I'll select home page, likewise. However, you wanted to show the component across, we'll select the target accordingly. And then now I'll deploy this component. Yeah, this seems to be deployed. Yeah, let's see it here in this org. Like I have created a page, lifecycle hook.
Gautami, you can explain each and every points. So like I just dropped this component from this custom LWC to this Lightning app builder page, right? So if you explain each and every point, it's well and good for the audience,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
If you maybe like someone don't know about these things, so it's better to explain each and every point, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
This is the Lightning app builder page which was created. So like when you go with the custom components, it shows like available list of components which were being created. As the newly created Visual Studio component is like a lifecycle hook demo, I'm just pulling it and dragging it across the component here, and then I'm saving it. Upon activation, it asks us for the page settings, which app I wanted to keep it, like what is the app or where the page needs to be added. At the moment, like as I've selected the demo lifecycle as the lightning page, so this is being added to this one, and then I'm clicking on save. Once this is done, we can go to the lightning page. Here I can see the lightning web component which we have created with the lightning card, and it got added. When I inspect this page, when you click on right click and then go to inspect, there would be like elements, console and recorder. Like we'll go to the console. Here we can see I am inside constructor, which has been available and written over the code has been called over here. This is for the constructor. If we have something with the parent component and also child component, if the child component is called inside the parent component, first the parent component constructor would be called, and then child component constructor would be called. Yeah. Next, we'll go with the connected callback. Basically, connected callback and also the constructor both do work as similar. They do work with the parent to child binding. This data flows from parent to child. Basically, what it does is like whenever we have some the moment, like whenever you see the lifecycle hook is being invoked as part of the connected callback, it returns the data. Basically, whenever you have some records to be fetched or some sort of operation which needs to be performed with the data, we would use the API decorator, and then the data can be fetched from parent to child. Like this is how it works. This one, whenever you have like the other property which you can see across with the connected callback is like you can have multiple connected callbacks in the same component. Then we'll just check this one. Like the order how it executes is like first the constructor would be called and then the connected callback would be called. As we already have one component, let me add one more method, one more constructed connected callback, and then let's see how it. Again, I'm deploying this to the OR. When you do some hard reload here, you'll see this constructor would be called and the connect and callback need to be called over the page. As you see here, first the constructor is called and then now the connected callback is called. The similar way, if there are any two components, like one is parent component, the second one is a child component, first it calls the parent component constructor and then child component constructor, then it calls the parent component connected callback and then child component connected callback. Yeah, this is another majorly used one, like rendered component. What it is used like, we do have some business logic which we need to do some changes over the HTML templates. Whenever we have some similar business logic to be decided for HTML template, we'll go with a rendered component. Basically, it must return a valid HTML template whenever it is being called across. So this rendered hook can be called whenever we have with the before or the after the connected callback method, which is available in this J hooks in the JS file. So for every connected callback or disconnected callback, like first rendered component would be called, and then we'll go with this thing. This logic we can create based on the HTML changes. Like let me go with this some example. Okay. Before that, let's go with the template and then add one more template which needs to be added with the HTML file. Like now we have lifecycle hooks demo. Here I'll be inserting one more HTML tag with the same name. Demo with prefix as to.html. Here I'm inserting the template tag. In the first HTML tag, as we have this lightning component, let's keep this one as one title. We'll take it as lifecycle hooks component one, or I'll insert one div tag and then keep this as a. I'm keeping this as a template one. And then I'm creating a lightning button. Keeping label. Go to second template. On event, one click. We'll write a method to change the template. Yeah, this is for the first JS HTML template. Before that, here we need to import the HTML template. We'll take like import first template as a temporary name. One, one HTML. Second template. I'll take one API decorator to just check the template which is being called. So I'm importing the API statement. Firstly, as we are in the first component, I'll keep this as a template one. Change template method. We'll write a few things. It is this dot template number equals to temp1. Then override this to template. Else it would be temp1. Okay, this is good. Yeah. Also, we need to make sure like the rendered needs to be fine. If this dot template equals to 1, what needs to be returned? Return first template. Here, return second template.
Godami, sorry for interrupt you. You can check line number 27. You did some mistake, so please check. Yep.
Yeah, we need to compare this one and then we need to update this. Yeah, then we'll update the second template as well. Okay, I'll keep this as div tag with template 2. Okay, I need to keep one more button which triggers to the same template. Or we can demo this item, like I'll show here. Yeah, the similar thing. Like when this dot template is template 1, it will go to this one, else it will go to this one. And then, like if this template 1 is there, like it returns to the first template, else it goes to the second template. Okay. Then for this one, as we already imported 2 HTML files, one file is like, which just says like I'm inside this template, and then when button is clicked, it goes to the second template, and then it comes over the first template. It is used for checking the templates which are being available to the different uh, rendering process. Let me add that component back here. As you see here, once it gets called, first it called with the constructor and then the connected callback. Okay, sorry, this is the one with this component. First the constructor is called and then the connected callback and then rendered is called. If you click on this one, inside change template method is called and then inside render. Like the template would be called and then it goes to the second template. Firstly, it goes with the, let me reshape. First, we were in the lifecycle template one. Where if I wanted to go to the second template, when I click on this one, it goes to the second template. before that, first it calls the constructor, connected callback, and the rendered is called. Once I click on this one, it calls with the change template method which we initiated, and then we are inside the rendered thing. This is how it works with the rendered method. And now, like once the render is called, rendered callback would be worked to just see like whether the rendered logic would have been invoked, and then what is the result would have been given with the business logic. So this component will flow from child to parent. Like if I wanted to check any two associated data, first the child component associated data would be showed, and then it goes to the parent component associated information. Like in the same method, if we keep this rendered console, it shows like once this is being called, the rendered callback will be called. Let me show you that as well. I'm uncommenting this rendered callback. I'm deploying this. Reloading this screen again. First, the constructor is called, connected callback is called, render is called, and then rendered callback is called. I click on this one. Inside the change template, render and rendered callback. Like this both would be called parallelly, rendered callback. Now, like we go to the disconnected callback. This disconnected callback is like whenever the element is being removed from the DOM, you'll get this sort of callback which would be called across. Like assume like whenever we have some checkbox over the screen, if checkbox is checked, then the connected callback needs to be called is the scenario which we have written across. Once the checkbox is unchecked, the disconnected callback would be called based on the parameter of the DOM which we have inserted across. Okay, let me show you this disconnected callback as well. Here, the disconnected callback method is for just deploying this. It's already. As here, we are not removing anything from the DOM. So like this kind of callback method is not being available. But let me show you one example. Okay, let me add a few things here. Okay, in constructor, we will add a list and then we'll add few elements over the list. Let me take one empty list from here. And then in connected callback, I'll add something to be switched across. Let me just check like what is coming across this list. And then we'll check this disconnected callback by emptying the list again. Okay, now let's deploy this. if you see here, we got like whenever connected callback is called, we got like hello LWC, and then it went to render, and then inside render level is being called, but not sure why disconnected callback is not being triggered here. Basically, it automatically triggers the disconnected callback event as well, which is with the latest information available across. Let me check this one. Not sure why it's not happening, but okay, fine. Let's go with this error callback. Whenever any error is being triggered in any of the component from any of the lifecycle hooks, it would be initiating and re-rendering the component in the lifecycle. And then this would be throwing back an error associated with the slack trace. What is the error associated and then happened across? Like mainly we'll use this one in the connected callback to just check like what's happening across the errors with the parameters which are being passed. Like in error callback, we'll be having two parameters. One is slack and one is error and one is slack, which tells like what is the error being triggered and what is the phrase of the flag which is being available. So like let's see this one as well. For this one, I'll be creating one error log. And then this error, for this capturing this error, I'm creating one child component where a connected callback method is called, and then we'll throw the exception like any new error occurred based on the error depending on this life cycle. So here in the HTML, I'm uncommenting this child component. Whenever you're calling a child component into the parent component, we need to follow the kebab case. So like as the child component is being created with lifecycle child name, so I just kept this kebab case over here. Now I'm refreshing the component. As you see here, oops, error occurred. Whichever we wrote from the child component got triggered in the alert box as well as the console. This is how this error callback works. Whenever any error is being occurred in any of the hooks which have been available, which has initiated the process, the component. Then just go with the summary. Like whenever, this is the major summary what happens. Whenever a component is created, if you wanted to run a code when a component is created, then it says in a constructor. When a component is inserted into the DOM, then you need to write into a connected callback. You can have multiple connected callbacks in a particular component. Whenever you wanted to check the code when a component is being refreshed or rendered, then you will write in the rendered callback. If you wanted to remove any component from the DOM, then you will write the code in the disconnected callback. If you wanted to handle any errors, you'll go and add in the error callback. Additionally, whenever you wanted to change the templates which have been available in a JS file, then you'll go with the rendered component. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Godami, and for your time. So audience, if you have any query questions, so you can ask me as well with Gotami. Okay, so we will give the answer if you have any query question regarding this session. You can ask me or with Gotami. Okay, I think we are good. Okay, so thank you guys for your time, and thank you again, Gotami, for your time. And we will meet with the next session, a very interesting session in upcoming Saturday, like security models and Salesforce administrator. So there are so many types of security as of now, you know very well, but we will discuss about more than like 7 to 8 security model under the Salesforce. So based on this security model, we can achieve more security, like data security, data modeling security, or any type like a profile level, or like a record level, anything FLS, something like that. Okay, so we will see this kind of events in upcoming Saturday, and maybe like is this upcoming Saturday, or maybe next Saturday. So please keep in touch. And do you have any query questions? So you can hear. Yeah. So Subham Pandey. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, Rohit. Good
Yeah.
afternoon. Am
Good
I audible?
afternoon. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can hear you. Yeah.
Rohit, actually, I was making a small development in LWC. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a query regarding that. Actually, in my component, I was sending the data from parent component to the child component.
Mm-hmm.
So I was facing the problem, and in the child component, I want to filter that data and then show the data into the child component template.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you are facing some problem like parent to child
Yeah.
communication or child to parent communication.
Parent to child.
Yeah.
Parent was sending the data to child component.
Okay. So first of all, you have to consider some important points. Okay,
Mm.
like what is the like some consider points like parent component and child component both are separate, right? If you
Mm.
send some data from parent to child, right?
Mm.
So you
Mm.
have to maintain the like communications. So if
Mm.
you don't know about these things, so you can watch like my YouTube channel video. I already
Mm.
mentioned these things. Or if you don't see any things like that, so I will share the link. Okay, don't worry about it.
And also, like when the data was sending in the child component, in the rendered callback, which I called in the child component, the data was visible in the rendered callback, but not in the connected callback. In connected callback, the data was null, but for the same case, when I was using console.log in rendered callback at the child component, the data was visible. So I thought that this is related to the life cycle of a component. That
Yes.
why the data is not visible in connected, but in rendered it is visible.
Yeah. So you know the hierarchy of the like life cycle hooks. So first of all, you have like
Mm.
constructor, like connecting callback. So connecting callback means suppose you have a component, or let's say parent component, and this component once you will try to connect with your child, right?
Mm.
At that time, that connecting callback is fired, right?
Okay.
But in render always happen once you
Same.
yeah, once
Mm.
you have like component like say
Mm.
top to down bottom, right?
Mm.
So all the DOM elements should be render, then your component should be fired, otherwise not. That's why render is totally depends on the full components.
Yeah, I think this is what I was missing here.
Yeah.
Mm.
Any more question, guys?
Mm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. If you don't know, so or if you don't have, so okay, so we can wrap up and we will meet soon. So till then, bye bye, take care, see ya, have a good weekend.
Thank you, Rohit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Rohit and Tanushree.
Yeah.
Thank you.